Hey everybody, how we doing? We're back at the Real Estate Machine Show and very excited to to have my special guest, Richard Potesta of Potesta and Company. Richard, welcome to the show.
Hey Chris, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Listen, I really appreciate you coming on. So this is actually, I try to get some people on the show here and kind of tell their story, get get their name out there a little bit, maybe to some of my audience, and just try to do a little cross collaboration, cross marketing, and give a little value to each other. So let's just dive right in. Tell the audience, who you are, what's your company, and how you got started in the business, and kind of little history on yourself.
Okay, so my name is Richard Potesta. I own Potesta and Company. We're in Hudson, Ohio. We started 10 years ago. It'll be 11 years in April. Our primary business is SLEWING ring bearings. I was in the integration world doing automation for the better part of my career. Had done a lot of work with Bridgestone, Firestone. I had developed a method of handling green tires and spent a number of years automating tire facilities all around North America. Integration's fine, except it's hard to cash flow. And I decided I wanted to try something different, which is to develop a product line. So primarily within our business, we're a SLEWING ring bearing manufacturer. Our bearings are made overseas, typically because of the high capital investment required to build that product domestically. We do intend to do it at some point for things with DFARS requirements, so military applications, aerospace, things like that. But anytime I sell a geared SLEWING ring bearing, I oftentimes get the pinion that goes with it. And that's what our facility here in Hudson does. We're a full service gear shop. We've got 18,000 square feet, 15 employees, and all we do all day long is make gears. We've got 27 machine tools doing nothing but making gears all day long. So the format of SLEWPRO, when we started it, the whole basis was we wanted to focus on small and mid-size OEMs. I was a customer of both Kadon and Rotec back in the day when I was doing integration work, and I hated dealing with them because the buying experience was just so terrible if you were a small integrator.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get a quote. They forced you into their quote catalog standards that didn't work for anybody. It just was awful. So the whole premise of this was to start and focus on small and mid-sized OEMs, the underserved portion of the market, like I used to be. So we do things like we do 3D models and 2D drawings with every single quote, so that at the front end, when they're working on their machine design, they can drop our product into their design and use it. We do customizations because we build everything to order. We can make changes that the big guys won't change because they're focused on high volume production. We're not. We make one bearing at a time. Right. And if you want a different set of holes in it, we put a different set of holes in it. So the gear side of the business, we were using a company in Painesville called Rhino Gear. And in 2016, they found themselves in financial difficulty. So we stepped in. We tried to do a clean purchase, but there were just problems with the acquisition. There were overlapping liens and just a lot of outstanding things that were muddled. So it ended up having to go through a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and we took a stalking horse position and bought it through the bankruptcy court, which gave us clear title to everything. So it was a great way to step into manufacturing because we picked up an existing manufacturer with an existing customer base, tons of tooling, and just some legacy stuff. So it was a place for us to start. And then we made our focus on the gear side the same as we do on the bearing side. We started to go after small and mid-size OEMs, people that build a product, buy the same parts over and over again, and we've made that kind of our focus. And it's gone well. Matter of fact, we are turning work away because we don't have enough personnel to be able to satisfy the demand.
Yeah. No, listen, I feel that, and that probably, that may or may not lead you into one of your biggest challenges because, obviously out there in our industry, the the labor pool is what it is, and we all struggle to find the good talent. But what's always
right.
Yeah, am I right? Yeah, exactly. But what always kind of fascinated with me about you is that you really are kind of business driven and a business mind. You've got a really sharp business mind. And a lot of the shops or suppliers or customers that I deal with, we're all kind of like little operators and stuff like that. Maybe they came up through the ranks and they're still machining and stuff like that. But you came at this at a different angle, and by growing by acquisition and finding a niche within the market and filling that niche and using all that expertise. And I've always kind of admired you
I
about
appreciate
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of the cornerstone of this show too, that we want to add value to business owners and entrepreneurs and people that are doing multiple things. And as you're growing your business, you're finding yourself in kind of creating these separate niches and pulling one niche in to support your other, for the greater good of your company, which I think is really, really, really impressive and cool.
Thank you. Yeah, we have three basic product lines. Rhino, which is the gear products that we produce. Within that, we can do helicals, spur gears, internal gears, shafts, pulleys, sprockets, you name it. The only thing we don't do gear-wise are bevel gears. We don't have the equipment to do bevel and have no desire to do bevel. But
Yeah.
all the other types of gears we can do all the way up to about 49 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
SLEWPro, which is our primary brand, are all the slewing ring bearings. So within that, we've got slewing ring bearings, internally geared, externally geared, no gear at all, multiple different design configurations based on customer requirements for load, and then slew drives, which are worm-based. It's a slewing ring bearing with a worm all in a housing, so it's a kind of a just add a motor kind of deal for that. And then we have our newest one is SlimPro, which are our thin section bearings. So that's a whole nother product. But all three of those products go together because they all go towards the same OEM base that we're targeting.
Right, right. No, it's sharp. It's smart. And to take a specific machining, gear cutting is, within our industry, as far as I'm concerned, it's a niche. It's a specific operation. And in Northeast Ohio here, maybe there's a handful of companies that may or may not do it, but not everybody does everything part of it. So I think that's important to to kind of highlight. So kind of going back to the other question about your biggest challenge. What do you see as your biggest challenge out there right now?
Oh, labor.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have plenty of customers, we have plenty of orders, we everything is solvable. I can buy more equipment, I can do all those sorts of things. The biggest problem I have is labor. We've spent a tremendous amount of time in this country for years telling our kids the only way they can be successful is to go to college and get a degree. Yeah. So we burden them with a ton of student loan debt. We push them away from the trades, and now we're sitting here with work industry that's coming back to the States that they want to produce it here, but the talent pool isn't there to run the equipment and actually do the work.
What? So do you have the answer?
No. For us, right. What we've done, because we've had to, we've done kind of our own apprenticeship program. We come alongside the CNC school in Akron. We do in-house training as well. So we've got a couple of young people going through that program right now because you just can't find experienced machinists. And then, and this, Chris, machinists are hard enough. Then put an ad out there that says, I'm looking for a manual gear cutter. Yeah, and now that problem just grew by 100-fold because there's even fewer of them available.
Yeah, I know. I suffer with the same thing here at our shop. And, we all have this kind of, ambition, or I don't know what the word is, but, we want to bring people into the company, young kids, and do the training and all that stuff. But you still need the trainer. Right. And, to have the trainer specifically work with new machinists to train, is that your best machinist who's the trainer, and then are you pulling him away from production and stuff like that? So I mean, there's just it's like the chicken or the egg sometimes.
It's a step back to take 2 steps forward.
It is
you have to be willing to make that commitment of time, knowing that you're building a workforce for the future.
Right Yeah, I totally agree. So, this is a perfect segue then. What do you see in the future for Potesta and Company, SLEWPro, and
it's bright. One of the things I'd like to touch on is how we go to market, right? We don't use salespeople.
Okay.
Everybody's going to hear that and they're going to go, oh my God, what is he talking about? How do you not use salespeople? So we do what's called inbound marketing. So we produce content that we
Yeah.
publish to the web. And that comes in three different forms. It's blogs, case studies, white papers that talk about problems that we've solved, some things that we've done for certain customers, that kind of thing. And we publish that out onto the internet. And
Okay.
from that, leads come to us, not the other way around. So it's a completely different mindset versus cold calling and trying to beat the bush and doing all those things. We put our story out there, and then people see that and they respond if they have a need. What
Yep.
that does is when they contact us, they already know they need what we provide. So half
Exactly.
the battle is already out of the way, right? So as a result, typically our close ratio runs between 50 and 60% of everything we quote. That's what we close.
See,
So
it's interesting that you say that because the people that watch this show, they know that I've got a real estate world and then I've got my machining world. And in the real estate world, attraction marketing, we kind of call that attraction marketing, where you're attracting your customer. Whereas as opposed to, like you said, outbound, cold calling and kind of like direct stuff. And that's the key, and that's how you scale. So where do you distribute most of your content at on the internet? Is there a certain, are you like
LinkedIn.
a LinkedIn guy, and what's
Yeah,
YouTube?
LinkedIn.
YouTube and
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yep. Yep, that's the primary thing, and it's been very successful for us. We started doing this in 2015, and
Wow.
it's been
That's almost
tremendous.
early
You know,
adopter status. Yeah.
it's funny. We don't do any trade shows, we don't do any print advertising, we don't spend any of that money in those typical traditional arenas. It's
Yeah.
all spent on lead generation.
Yeah.
As
It's
a
nice to
result,
hear
now,
that. It's nice to hear that in the manufacturing world. You don't hear that very often.
well, you
And
have to go where your customers are,
yeah.
and look at these younger engineers that are moving up through the ranks. They live on their phones.
Uh-huh.
So our website is mobile friendly.
Yeah.
We put ourselves out there so that we can be found, and it's really hysterical. We're a small company, right? But we're up. It's the David and Goliath thing. We're up against massive multinational corporations. Rotec is owned by Rotherda, who's owned by ThyssenKrupp. Kadon is owned by SKF. So they're big multinational organizations. So we try to take advantage of getting ourselves out there and getting ourselves visible so that we appear as though we're on par with those guys,
Mm-hmm.
number one. And number two, use our small size to our advantage, which is our ability to be nimble. We
Yes.
can do things
Flexible,
that the other
nimble.
guys
Yes.
refuse to do because we can. And we can do it quickly and we can do it efficiently. And that's the only advantage I have as customer service. I'll never get into the trenches with somebody and argue over price.
Right.
Our price is what our price is. But what we bring to the table is, we try to bring to the table is tremendous customer service where we
Yeah.
take care of the needs of the customer and help solve problems.
Accessibility to people is key, and to be able to collaborate with somebody that really has their boots on the floor and boots on the ground and can, make decisions quickly, and like you said, be nimble. That's value to a lot of these purchasing agents out there, because the stack on their desk is getting like this too, and at some point they just want to get that stuff off their
Right.
plate. And that's kind of the way that I built my business, is just to be that person that can maybe relieve them of all that stress by communicating and collaborating with them quickly and efficiently.
Right.
And that they know that, and it almost becomes like a partnership situation more than a customer vendor type of thing.
Sure. So for us, the future, we're looking at additional equipment acquisitions, expenditures. We had to freeze our capex like everybody else did at 20 and 21. 20 was the only year that we ever went backwards. We had grown every year since inception, but 20, we took a pretty significant hit. It was about a 40% reduction in sales. 21, we recovered sales wise, but shipments did not, because I couldn't get product here. The global shipping system was just a wreck.
Right.
And it's slowly getting better. It's not back to where it was. We used to build bearings 10 to 12 weeks overseas, get them here, inspect them, serialize them, and ship them to the customer in that time frame. And we're about 20 weeks now. We were 26 weeks at the worst peak of the shipping crisis. But it's slowly getting better. I suspect that in 23 shipping costs will go down, transit times will continue to improve. So that helps us on the margin side with the product line, with the bearing product line. On the gear side, when we bought Rhino, we knew we were buying old equipment. We knew we were going to have to make investments in newer equipment going forward. So we've been strategically doing that over time. I've done 4 machines this year. I hope to do some more next year. We put in a brand new Akuma VTL, which really was a significant gain for us. You saw them. We had these tired old Hitachi Seikis that were held together with bubble gum and baling wire. And we've got a brand new V760EX Akuma VTL lathe, and it's phenomenal. We're cutting about 1/3 to 1/2 of our production time off of our turning just because of the capabilities of that new machine. Same thing on the gear side. All the gear machines that we purchased were manual machines, right? So we finally put our first CNC into the gear side of the business. So we put a CNC shaper in. So it's 3-axis CNC gear shaper. And the improvements in production throughput from that machine have been phenomenal. Enough so that my partner has said, okay, now next year, what are we buying? And I said, well, now next year we're buying a CNC hob because we need to get those same gains on the external gears.
Right.
And I think we can do that by getting a CNC hob. And that's where we're headed. We'll continue to advance the technology, put better and better equipment in so that we satisfy the needs of our customers. The sales side is happening all on its own. We lit a brush fire and now it's just burning. And it's our job to keep up with it. So that's what we're trying to do now.
Hey, quick question about your acquisition with Rhino Gear. Did you bring all of whatever you purchased from them, did you bring them all in-house? Or
yes.
So you didn't have to maintain you didn't buy a building with that or anything like that? It was just, got it.
Emptied it, bought the building that we're in here in Hudson, and moved everything in, moved our operation from Talmadge up to this facility in Hudson. Now we're all under one roof.
Very good, very good. And so that leads us to the last question. You do in fact own your building, own your real estate.
We bought it in 2017. It's gone up in value. It's been a good investment. It was a good move to do it. We did.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, listen, real estate is it's always a good investment, and it always, time is always on your side. And listen, if you're operating a business like we do, to be able to control our own destiny with the dirt underneath and the walls around us is, that's just peace of mind. You don't have to worry about somebody selling the building under you or not extending a lease or something like that. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Well, we looked at it from the standpoint of we didn't want to give our money to somebody else. We'd rather give our money to ourselves.
Put it right back into
and I put another entity up, bought the building, and now we lease it back to the company.
There you go. There you go. Very strategic. So listen, we can wrap this up. Is there two things, anything else you want to add? And then, tell everybody what's the best way to get in touch with you and, what that all looks like.
I'd say hit our website. You're welcome to find me on LinkedIn. I'm all over the place on there. But our website is www.slewpro.com. It's SLEWPRO.com. And there you'll learn everything there is to know about us.
Awesome. Awesome. Richard, you're a good man. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend. And, we'll catch up with you real soon. Let's continue to do business together. Okay, buddy?
Sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Have a great day.